on my way home from dropping my daughter off, I just remembered a situation that happened. I don't know why it just crossed my mind, but I just thought about it. And usually, sometimes my job will have instances where they're understaffed, and they'll go ahead and they'll call people who are on their days off or whatever like that and ask them, can they come in and help, before they have to actually go and pay for an agency nurse to come out there. And I've been called several times, and there's other people that I talk to, and they're like, oh, they never call me and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, dang, I get called. I don't know if it's all the time, but I usually do get a phone call. And the thing is, the phone call will be at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which will give you enough time that you can, start at 7. And I really don't mind, helping out anyone if I have the possibility of helping out. And I definitely don't mind helping out my job. I've actually helped them about 3 or 4 times before. But there were different circumstances where they caught me when I was actually at my job, and they asked me, can you come in the next day? Or they asked me, could you stay a little bit later to like 11 o'clock or something? Or they'll call me like the night before, because they already know that they're going to be like overwhelmed the next day. So they already kind of pre-call me the night before. And the thing is, I can definitely deal with that. I can definitely go ahead and help them out. But it's something about when you know that you're supposed to be off that day, and you probably already had a bunch of plans or errands that you said you were going to run that day. And for you to be waking up and, awoken from your sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're asking you, well, can you help me? My dilemma is always, I always end up, usually I tell them that, most likely not that I'm going to be able to help, just because of the fact that I don't have that easy access of a babysitter like some other people may have. Some people, they go ahead and they pay some daycare or whatever that they can just drop their kids off or whatever, whenever, and just pay the daycare and do what they have to do so they can be able to drop everything on a dime and go to work. But I do not pay for daycare. I actually do have kind of like a babysitter, and the arrangement that me and that person has is because that person also has kids. So, but then the person's kind of like a housewife type thing. So, I just kind of run down my week of, okay, this day I'm working, this day that I'm not, or whatever. Do you think you can help me on such and such days? And if it's a yes, then definitely, then I know that these days I'm covered. When it's on the weekend, I really don't have to worry about it, because she goes to her father like every weekend, if not every other weekend. So that's not a major thing for me. But when it comes to the weekdays, I have to ask that person, like, okay, well, do you think you can run me the favor and watch her on such and such days? So pretty much that person already says, all right, well, I have, this extra child with me on this and this day. So on these other days, I'm not expecting to have anyone extra, and they probably already have their own plans and their own things to do. So I'm not going to, put that extra thing on them, especially when it's not like a major emergency that I have to get to. Another thing is just, at the same time, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm really not about to wake somebody else up at 5 o'clock in the morning to ask them, what my job wants some help or whatever this morning, and I just want to know if I can drop her off right quick with you. 5 o'clock in the morning, that person, especially she has like 3 kids, I'm not going to call her and wake her up in her peaceful slumber, which is probably the only time that she has to just be free of her kids, at 5 o'clock in the morning to tell her, well, can you run me this favor? At the same time, if she's not able to, I'm not going to call my family members and be like, well, can you do this for me at 5 o'clock in the morning? Because most likely at 5 o'clock in the morning, if I'm calling them because I think that they might not have to work that day, because they're also nurses, my other family members, then it's probably their day off too. And they're not trying to answer their phone at 5 o'clock in the morning to hear me say, well, can I drop my child off? Because automatically, whatever they might have had planned that day, now they got to think, well, I had to go to the doctor's appointment, or I had to do this or that. And they're thinking, oh, I was just planning on doing it. And now I got to think, oh, I got to drag this baby along with me and stuff. So sometimes I may not get the kind of reception that I'm looking for from the person. And I've explained this to my job like at least 2 or 3 times already, that it's not that I do not want to help. It's the fact that I really just, it's hard for me to find a babysitter at the last minute like that. It's not like you're asking me the day before. You're asking me 2 hours before you actually want me to be there. So it's been kind of tough. I did one time call my babysitter at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got absolutely no answer, which was what I was expecting. And then it was kind of like, by the time I got an answer back, it was maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, I saw a missed call from you. I heard the phone ring, but I was thinking nobody in their right mind is calling me at this time, and I see that it was you. You know, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is an emergency. What happened? What happened? I'm like, it wasn't that big of an emergency. I just wanted to know this one thing, you know. So see, folks really don't pick up their phone at 5 o'clock in the morning. Unless you're expecting a call or whatever. Usually 5 o'clock in the morning, hardly. And the thing that brought me to this, I remember one situation where I had actually, the night before, I had gotten off of work, and this person hit me in the back of my car. So, my rear bumper was all jacked up. The lights were broken. It was like hanging off and everything. I was so disappointed. And the thing is, I had just gotten the car. It had been like 3 months. I had just gotten my brand new car. And then the person to like hit me, I was just so upset. But I was off the next day. So I went ahead and I did what I had to do. I called the insurance company and everything. They had actually made an appointment for me that very next morning. They called me. I was off that day, of course. They called me that next morning, and they were like, well, do you think you can come in and do an estimate and leave your car or whatever, and we can give you a rental and we'll fix it? I was like, well, yeah, for sure. So I go out there with my daughter and everything, and in the process of me signing the papers to go ahead and get the rental in exchange for leaving my car over there, I get a phone call from the job. And it's not like, you know, the regular person who calls me. This time is like someone higher up in the ladder. And they were like, well, do you think that you can come and help us out? And I'm like, well, I'm out right now. And they're like, okay, well, do you think that after you run your errands or whatever, you can come in? And I was like, well, not really. I said, because right now I'm actually trying to get my car fixed because I got into an accident last night, and I'm in the process of getting a rental. And then I was like, and then on top of that, you know, I have my daughter with me, and then to have to find a babysitter right now, especially when I know I have all these things going on, I'm like, I don't really think that's going to happen. And then the person was like, well, you know, you can go ahead and bring your baby here, and I'll babysit your child. And I thought to myself, what? At this time, my daughter wasn't even 1 year old yet. She was like 8 months. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm not going to bring an 8-month-old baby to a hospital full of germs. And the thing is, it's a baby. So automatically it's in one of the little carriers. And the carriers usually find themselves on the floor. And I'm like, it is an 8-month-old child. Like, what is going to make me think that you are actually going to babysit my 8-month-old child? Which means now not only am I going to have to go to work, but I have to sit here and pack bottles, diapers, and wipes. And the thing is, I'm thinking, well, at the time I was thinking, she probably has no idea how old my child is. She's probably thinking it's like a 6-year-old or something that she could just say, sit down and get some pencil and paper to, and they can just draw and doodle and spend the time away. I'm like, no. I said, I have, you know, a baby. This is feeding, burping, poopy, pee-pee, diaper changing type of child. This isn't, you know, your little 4-year-old. Even then, the toddlers, you can't really take to hospital because they're constantly running up and down. They touching this, they touching that, and automatically, boom, the hand goes in the mouth. So it's just like, So I was like, no, thanks, but no thanks. I don't think so. So it was just weird to me. I was thinking, you know, I understand she might have not had the impression of how old my child was. But at the same time, I was like, you know, you can't possibly tell me on my day off that you want me to come in, and on top of that, you're like, well, bring your child and we can babysit it for you, especially when they don't even have like a daycare. And the place doesn't even have a pediatric ward. So really, it's just not a place where you would find children at usually. So I don't know. it just kind of crossed my mind while I was driving, and I just felt like sharing it.